Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a new video. So we are going to be finishing up the detail of my F80 M3. You guys saw me do the whole decom process, get everything ready for polish. You saw me polish the entire car, got everything squared away in terms of any of the little markings and scratches that were on the paint, which was very, very minimal. And now we're moving on to my favorite part, and that is ceramic coating. So my preferred coating on my cars is G-Technic CSL and EXO. I love this combo. I use it on multiple cars, my STI more specifically. Love the way that this held up in terms of the durability. I love the way it looked. One thing that I was never a big fan of with ceramic coatings in the past is that it made the paint look very synthetic, looked very fake. So I was always a big fan of a sealant and a wax setup. And then I tried out G-Technic CSL and EXO, which was V4 at the time. I actually still have it over there. It reminded me a lot of how paint looks with a sealant and a wax on it, but it's just way more durable, lasts so much longer. And also the hydrophobic properties of it is just amazing. And one thing I wanted to do when I got this car was get it properly dialed in. Previous owner got the car PPF'd when it was pretty much brand new. It's still in really good shape. I also got it ceramic coated recently before I purchased it. So it's in really good shape, but there was a few areas that I wasn't happy with. It was starting to fail and I wanted to get my preferred coating on here. So I put in the time, got everything ready, and now we're finally on my favorite part of the detail, and there's actually ceramic coating it. So you're gonna need a few things to get this done. Obviously, you're gonna need your preferred coating. Again, as I mentioned, mine is CSL and EXO. And there's a couple other things you're gonna need. You're going to need some type of applicator. The nice thing about this, they come with applicators, but I don't like the little ones that they provide. I like the ones, the little cloths that you can get with the little block. I'll show you in a little bit of how to use this, but this is my preferred method on a large surface, like, you know, a hood or pretty much the whole car. Doing wheels and everything, I don't mind using the little pads that are provided in here just because it's a little bit more intricate and easier to work with. But when you're doing an entire car, I prefer that method. And then you're also going to need some type of microfiber to remove and wipe off the excess and smooth everything out once you put the ceramic on the car. So this is all you're going to need. I'm going to link everything below if you guys want to do this exact procedure. You can use the links below to pick up everything and do exactly what I'm doing. But let's get started. Really, really simple. First, we're going to start off with CSL. This is actually the ceramic coating. This is the main part of it. But put this on first. Got to wait 2 hours. Then we're going to go ahead and throw over 2 layers of EXO V5. In between each coat is 2 hours as well. So it's a pretty lengthy process. There are coatings out there that's just a one-step process, but for me, the EXO, the 2 layers on top, just totally transforms the paint and makes it look so much better. So we're gonna put in the time and get this done. It's supposed to be pretty rainy and just kind of ugly out, so I don't mind the car sitting in the garage curing and getting beautiful with the new ceramic on here, so that is why I'm doing it now. But let's go ahead and get started. So let's open up the box. I'll show you what's included in the kit. Now you can purchase this individually, so you can just get the CSL or you can just get the EXO, but I purchased both at the same time. You end up using more EXO since you're doing 2 layers of this. Crystal serum you end up having more over time since you're only doing 1 layer. But per bottle, you can get roughly 4 or 5 cars out of this entire bottle. I've gotten more. It just depends on the size of the car. But for an average car like the M3 or my STI, I'm gotten about 4 or 5 separate cars, you know, of similar size with 1 bottle. So you get some gloves with the kit. You get the little pad applicator that I mentioned that I like using for wheels, or some smaller components or smaller parts like carbon fiber pieces that I've gotten. I like using this. And then you get the actual coating. So it comes in this little jar, and then you get a little droplet applicator as well. So one thing I want to note is when you are storing this, don't store it with this cap on there. I've done that before. There is no seal in there, as you can see. So if you close that up, all this is going to dry out and you're not going to have a good time. So highly recommend using this top when you are sealing it. Now, in order to get everything ready for the applicator, we're simply just gonna open up the little cloth packets. There's 10 in here. These are my preferred ones that I use. It's kind of reminds me of like a sunglass cleaner or, you know, like a electronic screen cleaner, something like that. So you're gonna take your applicator. You can see there's actually slits on either side. And then you're just going to lay the cloth over top of it. And then what I do is I use a vinyl tool, a little card piece, or you can use a credit card, whatever, and just tuck it in the crevices over here. You can use a screwdriver or something like that if you want, but I always find this works best since it's kind of soft and pliable. And you kind of just work it into the little side crevice on the side of the applicator. Make sure it's in there well, just because you don't want it falling out as you're applying the ceramic, like that. So now we got a nice smooth surface. So we're going to crack this open, fresh ceramic coat. And now we're going to put the little applicator in there, squeeze before, and it's going to pull up some of the CSL. And then now we're going to just coat the applicator as much as you can. So the first application, I like to put a little bit more on the entire pad just so everything's coated, so you get a nice first application. And then as you go, you don't have to apply as much. But we're ready to go, so let's head over to the car. I'm going to start in this corner, and it's going to be basically the same process as you are polishing. So you're going to do a small section at a time, like a 2x2 section, do a cross hatch or basket weave pattern as they call it, then go back. And the main reason for this is so you don't miss a spot, because you want to be as careful as possible to make sure you're doing an even coating so everything applies the same way. You don't want to leave any high spots, any low spots. So we're going to go ahead and apply it here. Just kind of go around and do the basket weave design. And then after about a minute or two, you're just simply going to wipe it off. So it's honestly as easy as that. I prefer the 2 towel method, where you wipe off the first layer and level everything out, and then the second pass with the second microfiber kind of wipes everything off. I think that just works best. I just prefer that method, and I know a lot of people do the same thing. So yeah, so as simple as that. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a little, kind of just looks like it's oily a little bit. So we're gonna wait about 1 to 2 minutes. All right, so it's been about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes or so. You can kind of see it. You can see it right here. It doesn't get tacky, but you can tell when it kind of flashes a little bit, and that's when it's time to wipe off. So we're gonna take our microfiber, our first one, and just wipe it down. Simple as that. You just wanna make sure you wipe every little piece. You don't wanna leave any of the coating on there, because right now what we're doing is actually leveling it off and making sure everything is covered properly. Because if you don't do this step, you're going to have high and low spots, and it's not going to be a good time. So I end up just flipping the towel. I'm doing another wipe. Then I'm going to come in with a new towel and do my final wipe. And that's basically going to ensure I'm getting everything off, and the initial towel that I used is not interfering with the coating on there. This is just a clean towel, and making sure I'm getting all the excess off. And yeah, so this little section is done. It's as simple as that. I know a lot of people are always kind of scared of doing ceramic coatings. They think they're going to mess it up, but honestly, it's truly as simple as that, especially with G-Technic CSL. There's some other brands and some other ones out there that require a little bit different procedure, and they only sell it to certain dealers and stuff like that. But with G-Technic, CSL, and EXO, it's honestly as simple as that. You can do that right in your garage. And it really doesn't take a rocket scientist or a detailing specialist or anything to apply this. You just got to know what to look for in terms of the high and low spots, and just make sure you're doing a good job covering everything properly. So, all right, so we got this little, I guess, 2x2 section done. So I'm going to go around and get the rest of the hood complete. Same procedure, just kind of do the little sections, cross hatch pattern, basket weave, and then kind of just move along and do exact same thing that I do with the polishing. So I do the hood, the roof, the trunk first, and then I kind of move on to the sides and work my way around. So let's go ahead, get the hood done, and start working on the rest of the car. All right, guys, so it's about almost 2 hours later, hour and a half or so, and I got the car completely coated with CSL. So I really spent a lot of time making sure I did everything perfect, nice and even, complete coverage. I went over it kind of each section about 3 or 4 times just to make sure everything was just perfect. I was making sure I was smoothing everything out. I used a ton of towels. And it really just turned out nice. Now, the great thing about ceramic is that it gets deeper and more clarity and more glossy as it cures. So CSL, you're able to put the first layer of EXO on after 2 hours, but it takes a full 12 to 24 hours for it to fully cure. So I'm going to leave this overnight and just let it cure, and I'm going to hop on it tomorrow and start doing the layers of EXO. So you really have to plan out, some time to really get this done, because you can't just keep throwing layers on and on. You got to make sure everything cures in between for it to properly get done. Also, you got to keep in mind that the car cannot get wet for at least 12 hours. G-Technic actually recommends a full week for it to fully cure. Obviously, depending on the temperature and everything and the environment that you live in, it's really warm. It's about 70, 80s right now. So it should cure pretty quickly, especially in the garage. It gets pretty warm. At least 24 hours is my go-to before it gets wet, before it goes outside, before it sees any type of air, anything outside. So it's probably gonna be in here for the next week or so, just completely curing. I'm gonna leave the car cover off just so there's no interference with anything, and making sure it properly cures. Now, I still need to do the 2 layers of EXO, so that's gonna take another hour and a half each layer. So we still got some time to put into it, but I wanted to show you, this is how much I ended up using of CSL. So pretty much a half a bottle. So I was really soaking up the cloth on here, each application, each panel. I wanted to make sure that I was getting complete coverage. On previous applications, I didn't put as much, not that it wasn't as good, but I just didn't think it needed it. But I realized the more product I put on here and the more coverage I have on the cloth, on the pad, I just got a better result and more even coating. So I was making sure I was really kind of layering it on. So I probably won't get, the 3 to 4 cars as I did with previous bottles. This is, I would say, another car worth of ceramic. So EXO, that is next. We're gonna be getting that done. Just wanted to show you a few panels of getting the CSL done. All right, guys, following day, we got CSL applied, as I mentioned in the last clip. Now we're gonna be moving on to the EXO step. So same exact process. This is what you get in the box. You get the little applicator, you get some instructions, you'll obviously get the EXO V5, and then you get some gloves and applicators. I have a new cloth on here. And this one's a little bit different. This actually has a dropper on here, so you don't need the dropper that is included with that one. There's one already included on the top of the bottle. So get the cloth nice and coated, and you're doing the same exact thing. Do a small section, 2x2, crosshatch, basket weave pattern, making sure everything is nice and even. And then once it starts to rainbow and kind of sweat a little bit, then you just wipe it off. So the exact same process as CSL, but this is EXO now. This stuff wipes off beautifully. I love this step. It's honestly my favorite part of the entire detailing process. The instructions say that you can apply this 1 to 2 hours after CSL. I've actually waited almost a whole day. It's been less than 24 hours, but mainly because I just ran out of time and didn't get a chance to start the EXO until now. But you can actually, have heard that you can apply it right on top of it, right after you do CSL. I personally wait at least 2 hours before I put the coat on, or the first coat, and then we're actually going to be doing 2 layers of it. So they say that you can do the first layer and then you can do the second layer right over top of EXO. I'm going to wait the full 2 hours. Just that's what I've always done. It seemed to work. So let's go ahead and get this completed, get the first coat on of EXO, and then we're going to wait a little bit and do the second coat. But I'm very excited about this. All right, so this is kind of what you're looking for once it's time to wipe off. So as you kind of see, the coating is sweating in a way. It looks like it's just wet and sweating. I mean, it's the best way to describe it, but once it gets to that point, then it's time to wipe off. So once you see it, do that. Just wipe it down just like CSL. Make sure you have multiple towels on hand and flip over. And you're basically just leveling everything off you just did. Just make sure you stay nice and organized when you're doing this, so you're covering every piece of the car properly and not just going sporadically and all over the place. So I basically, on the hood, I do 6 sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So whatever way works best for you, just make sure you remember what you did and you're doing it right. It's okay to overlap the section. So I went up to the power dome right here. I'll probably go over a little bit when I'm doing the middle here, just so I'm making sure I get a nice even coverage. But yeah, that is it. We're good to go. That section's done. So we're gonna move down here, continue around the hood, go around the entire car and get this thing done. All right guys, so we're going on the second layer of EXO. This is about how much I use for the first layer. So I got a little bit more than half a bottle, which is plenty. As I mentioned, you'll probably go through EXO faster than CSL just because you're using 2 coats, but it is absolutely looking beautiful. Again, so hard to show on camera, the depth and the gloss and the clarity of this, but it's looking amazing. So I may get like a shot or 2 as I'm doing the second layer, but it's exactly the same thing. Do a small 2x2 section, wipe it off once it starts to kind of sweat and rainbow, and then just go through the whole thing. I'm doing the glass, I'm doing the trim, I'm doing everything. I'm gonna go ahead and power through this and get it done. Then I'll catch back up with you guys once I'm complete and I can show you the finished product. All right guys, so the ceramic coating, the detail is complete. I wanted to wait a few days to let everything cure as much as possible before I really, I guess, put it on film. Not that you can really see that big of a difference, but I wanted to at least give you a decent representation of how this thing actually looks. I'm so thrilled that I decided to put in the time and get this done. Now that I know that I have my preferred ceramic coating on here, it's refreshed, it's brand new, it's gonna last a really long time. As a matter of fact, I can't wait to wash the car just so I can see it react and the hydrophobic properties and it's just the water beating off and everything. My favorite time to wash a car is the first wash after I detail it and ceramic coat it. And the main reason is because the ceramic has fully cured, and also because I'm able to put the topper on my Obsessed Garage drying aid, and it just makes the paint even more insane. It puts another layer of protection on top of that. So that wash is my favorite and it looks the best then. But right now it looks pretty darn insane and I'm super, super happy I put in the time. So this is how much EXO I used for 2 layers of EXO on my car. So as you can see, you definitely go through EXO much quicker than CSL. So just keep that in mind. Obviously, if you have a bigger vehicle, you're gonna need more than that. They actually sell larger bottles than those smaller ones. I usually just get the smaller ones because I don't ceramic coat often. But I am planning on doing my F150 soon. So I'm probably going to, actually, I'm probably just gonna get another bottle of EXO and use the remaining of this. That should be plenty. And the half bottle I have left of CSL should be enough for the truck. But everything turned out amazing. Now, as for a wash, they say to actually wait for 7 days at least before you wash a car. It can get wet after 12 hours. I usually wait 24, although this car really doesn't see rain there very often, if at all. So if you guys are planning on doing this, I recommend starting on a Friday if you need the car by Monday, just in case, you know, it's your daily driver. So Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you were able to get this job done. And you can probably knock it out in a day and a half if you really wanted to. But for me, I like to space it out and take my time with everything. But it's really, really hard to show you the clarity and the depth and everything of this paint. But it's just, it looks phenomenal in person. And I hope soon I can really show you guys this outside. It's pretty rainy out for the next few days, so it won't be taking the car out. But I want to show you guys the paint in the daylight so you can really, really see how beautiful this paint is. I'm really hoping that I can do mineral gray metallic justice. I know it's a pretty, I guess, boring or ordinary color for these cars, but it is such a beautiful color when you do it properly and you dial in the paint, and it's just, there's so much flake, so many different colors in it, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. Super happy I got it finished. Takes a very, very long time. I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to detailing or anything for that matter in life. I'm always very, very critical of my work. Sometimes it's a curse for me because I spend more time than I necessarily should on something to make it perfect and better than, you know, anything else out there, but that's just me and my work ethic. But at the end of the day, that work ethic usually results in a much better end product, and it just turns out so much better. So if you're curious how many hours this actually took, The decon wash, that took about 2 hours, normal wash. Polishing, that took around 2.5 days. I was putting about 2.5 to 3 hours in. So let's just say 7 hours or so. So right now we're at what, 9 hours. And then the ceramic coating, each layer took about an hour to an hour and a half. So 3 hours. So we're looking at anywhere from like 12 to 13 hours or so of work to get it to this point. I know it doesn't seem like it since you guys see my car clean all the time, but to get it to this point, ceramic coated, perfectly polished, this is what it takes. And I'm happy I was able to do that over multiple days and not have to rush it. So that is going to do it for this one, guys. I know it wasn't too crazy. I know it wasn't the most exciting video in the world, but I wanted to document this since this is something I enjoy doing. And taking care of my cars and getting them to this point is something that I love sharing and kind of documenting on the channel. So that is going to do it for this one, guys. Again, if you're interested in anything that I use, I'm going to leave all this stuff in links below. We got plenty of things coming up for the M3. We actually got a charge cooler up there, J-pipe. Got quite a few other things coming in as well, just to continue to enjoy this car to the fullest. Going to be documenting the installs and all that of the car and just enjoying this thing even more than I already am. So if you guys have any questions at all, be sure to ask them below. But in the meantime, keep it clean, keep it simple, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.